I'm Felicia. The wedding came and went, but the aftermath still lingers. I didn't attend, of course. I heard it was tense, filled with whispers and awkward silences. Daniel brought his new fling, and that alone shattered any pretense of normalcy. His parents barely spoke to him, and his sister, the bride, was polite but distant. It was a mess, and I couldn't help but feel a strange sense of relief. But it wasn't always like this. Let me take you back to the beginning. I grew up in a small town, the daughter of a strict but loving father and a kind-hearted mother. My parents instilled in me a strong sense of integrity and self-respect. I was always the girl who played by the rules, focused on my studies, and dreamed of a simple, happy life. Fast forward a few years, and I met Eric. He was charming, funny, and seemed to understand me in a way no one else ever had. We fell in love quickly, and before I knew it, we were engaged. We had plans for a beautiful future together, filled with love, laughter, and a big family. Our relationship lasted for 5 years, and for the first 4, it was like a fairy tale. We supported each other through thick and thin, and I thought we were inseparable. But then, everything changed. I was on a business trip, and I decided to come home early. When I walked into our apartment, I found Eric in our bed with my former best friend, Lily. It was a moment that shattered my world. The breakup was brutal but clean. I packed my bags and left that night, my dignity in tatters. Eric stayed in the apartment because his name was on the lease, and I moved in with my older sister for a month while I figured out my next move. I was heartbroken, but I refused to let him see me fall apart. For 8 months, I focused on rebuilding my life. I started seeing a therapist every Tuesday, worked hard during the day, and went to the gym whenever I could. I had a few friends, but I kept my social life in check. I dated occasionally, but nothing serious. I was still healing, and I wasn't ready to trust anyone blindly. Then, one Tuesday evening, my phone lit up. It was a text from Eric. The message read, "Hey, I know this is weird, but my sister's getting married next month. You were invited before everything happened. She still wants you there. We all think it would be good for closure. We just want you there so everyone can move on." I stared at the text for longer than I should have. It wasn't because I was tempted to go, it was the audacity of it all. Eric and I hadn't spoken directly since the night I left. I typed back a simple sentence, "I won't be attending." No explanation, no emotion, just a clear boundary. His reply came almost immediately. "Don't be like that. It's been months. We've all moved on. This isn't about us. It's about my sister's day." I felt a tightness in my chest. It wasn't anger, it was recognition. This wasn't an invitation, it was a demand dressed up in politeness. I responded, "I'm not being like anything. I'm declining an invitation." "That's allowed." He replied, "You're making this difficult." I shot back, "I'm making this nothing. I'm simply not going. Enjoy the wedding." He then said, "Everyone's going to ask where you are. It's going to be awkward." I answered, "Tell them I declined. That's the truth." He called me petty, but I didn't respond. I set my phone down, finished my dinner, and turned on the TV. That night, sleep didn't come easily. I kept thinking about how people distort the truth when it doesn't suit them. They downplay their own mistakes and exaggerate yours. And over time, silence can be misinterpreted as guilt. Around 2 a.m. I got out of bed and opened my laptop. I've always been meticulous about backups. My therapist once said it was a way to regain control in a chaotic situation, and maybe she was right. I dug through old folders and cloud archives and found screenshots I hadn't looked at in months. There were messages between Eric and Lily from the week before I caught them. They were making jokes about how clueless I was, talking about me like I was just an obstacle. I also found an email from Eric's sister, sent 8 months ago, right after the breakup. She was crying, apologetic, and furious with Eric. She wrote, "You'll always be family to me. I'm so sorry he did this to you." I didn't feel vindicated reading it, I felt prepared. I created a simple PDF with no commentary, just chronology, screenshots, dates, and receipts for the couple's therapy I'd paid for while he was cheating. The last page had one sentence: I was invited to attend a wedding to provide closure for people who betrayed me. I'm declining. I saved it but didn't send it. The next morning, I woke up surprisingly calm. The PDF sat on my laptop like a quiet truth waiting to be needed. I hoped it wouldn't be, but deep down, I knew this wasn't over. I went to work as if nothing was wrong. I answered emails, sat through meetings, and took notes. On the outside, I looked composed and unaffected. That's always been my strength. I compartmentalize my emotions and survive first, process later. But the PDF was always in the back of my mind, a reminder that documented truth can change the balance of power. Around noon, my phone buzzed again. Eric texted, "You need to be there." My sister specifically asked. It would mean a lot to her. I didn't respond right away. I finished a meeting, got a coffee, and let the message sit. When I finally looked at it again, I realized he wasn't asking, he was trying to manage the optics. I typed slowly, "Did your sister ask or did you volunteer that having me there would make things less awkward for you?" He replied, "What's that supposed to mean?" I said, "It means I don't believe this is her idea. I believe you want me there so you don't have to explain my absence." He called me paranoid, and I asked him to forward the message where his sister specifically asked for me. 3 hours passed, and there was no response. When my phone lit up again, he said, "She doesn't want to text you directly. That's why she asked me to reach out." I replied, "Of course she did." He then asked, "Why are you being so difficult about this?" That question was all too familiar. He used to ask it whenever I set boundaries that interfered with his comfort. I said, "I'm not being difficult. I'm being clear. I'm not attending. Please stop asking." He warned that people would think I wasn't over it, but I told him I didn't care what people thought. That evening, I opened the PDF again to verify reality. Gaslighting works best when it's subtle, and I was starting to wonder if I was being unreasonable. The screenshots were still there, time-stamped and cruel in their casualness. The next morning, there was a strange quiet. No new messages from Eric. But in the mid-afternoon, a coworker's offhand comment made my stomach tighten. That night, I checked social media and found that Eric had posted a vague status about letting go of people who can't move forward. The comments were full of sympathy for him. I realized he was laying the groundwork. If I stayed silent, my absence would be framed as bitterness and immaturity. So, I refined the PDF, tightening the order, clarifying dates, and removing anything that could be dismissed as emotional. On Thursday evening, I got a call from Sarah, a mutual friend who had managed to stay neutral after the breakup. She asked if I was really not going to the wedding. I said yes. Then she told me that Eric was telling people I was being vindictive and trying to punish him. I almost laughed. I explained that I was just being absent, and there was a difference. She said Eric's sister thought I was making it about myself. I replied that declining an invitation was a complete sentence. Sarah said she didn't want to be pulled into this, and I told her to tell people I declined for personal reasons. She warned me that Eric's sister would keep pushing, and I said I was done engaging. That night, I added more to the PDF. I included text messages from a month before I caught them, where Eric told me I was his best friend and talked about our wedding plans. These messages destroyed the lie that he cheated because he was lonely or neglected. Friday passed quietly, too quietly. Then, on Saturday morning, I woke up to 17 text messages and 5 missed calls from other people. They were all asking if I had sent fake screenshots. I scrolled through the messages and found a screenshot of a group chat where Eric had posted, "She's sending people fake screenshots to make me look bad. Please don't believe anything she sends you. She's trying to sabotage my sister's wedding. I called Marcus, someone I trusted. He told me Eric was telling everyone I was spreading lies. I assured him I hadn't sent anyone anything. I had just declined the wedding invitation. He asked if I had screenshots, and I said yes. He asked if they were real, and I said they were. He then said that Eric's preemptive attack told him everything, and I should defend myself. I sat there for a long time, looking at my laptop. I knew this was the line. Up until now, my silence had been seen as dignity, but now it was being reframed as guilt. I opened the PDF one last time, reviewed it, and decided to send it to 5 people who would be at the wedding and were close to Eric. I attached the file and wrote, I was accused of sending fake screenshots. These are the real ones. I've kept them private for 8 months. I'm sharing them now only because my character is being attacked. I turned off my phone and went for a walk. When I turned it back on 2 hours later, it was flooded with messages. There were apologies, shock, and disbelief. One message in particular stopped me. I owe you an apology. She told us you were controlling and emotionally abusive. That she cheated because she felt trapped. These messages show that was a lie. I'm so sorry I believed her. I stared at the screen, my chest tight with grief. I never wanted to be believed like this, I just didn't want to be lied about. By Sunday morning, the damage was done. I woke up to over 50 messages from people I hadn't spoken to in months. Some were cautious, some were apologetic, and some were in shock. Eric's sister called me. She apologized for pushing me to come and for believing Eric's version of things. She said she had told Eric weeks ago that she assumed I wouldn't want to come. I told her I never wanted to share the screenshots, but I did because Eric accused me of lying. She said she was glad I did, and that their parents had seen the screenshots and were furious with Eric. That afternoon, Eric started calling me, but I didn't answer. He texted, "You didn't have to do this. You've ruined everything. Everyone hates me now. You couldn't just let it go." I didn't respond because there was nothing left to explain. I had simply stopped protecting him. The wedding happened 2 weeks later. I didn't attend, and I heard it was a disaster. Eric brought Lily as his date, and it caused a lot of discomfort. Many people reached out to me afterward to apologize for believing Eric and for staying silent. One message that meant a lot to me was from Jake, a former close friend who had sided with Eric after the breakup. He wrote a long, careful text, saying he was wrong about everything and didn't expect forgiveness, but he needed to say he was sorry. I told him I appreciated his apology and that forgiveness takes time. The PDF spread farther than I intended, but that was inevitable. Truth has a way of gaining momentum once it's released. Some people still believe Eric, but I don't care. I'm dating someone new now, someone who has no history with my past. When he asked about the wedding drama, I showed him the PDF. He said I was handling it a lot calmer than he would have. It took 8 months and a lot of therapy, but I finally realized that silence isn't always strength. Sometimes, it's just surrender. And I was done surrendering. I refused to let Eric write my story, and I'm proud of myself for standing up for the truth.